Senator Gillespie joins us right now. So let's focus in on the 10th district right now. It is Mike Collins, son of Matt Collins, the former congressman, a trucking executive, a very spirited race against Vernon Jones. We've talked about the baggage of Mr. Jones. We've talked about former Democrat, now Republican, and certainly backed by President Trump. Any surprises in that? Does that give you a view of that district and may ultimately give you a portal to the rest of the state as we head toward November?
Well, no, it's not a surprise that Vernon Jones would do poorly in the district. He lives in DeKalb County. He doesn't live in the district. Until a couple of years ago, he was a Democrat. These were liabilities against him. He has a bad reputation in terms of his working relationship with people in the House of Representatives. He also has, has had allegations of sexual misconduct that have been levied against him. So he brings a ton of baggage to the table. It wasn't going to be overcome by an endorsement from former President Donald Trump. He got out of the race because he was going to run as a gubernatorial candidate, and when David Perdue got in, that sort of suggested that Perdue was the stronger candidate to run against Brian Kemp, and that all Jones would do would be a foil. And so what former President Trump decided to do was to convince Jones to go run in a congressional race where he would get his endorsement. It just wasn't enough, and I think it just proves the fallacy of the overall strategy to try to challenge Brian Kemp, right, because he chose to certify the 2020 presidential election results against former President Trump.
So tonight really is about high stakes, low voter turnout. Do we learn more about Republicans or Democrats on a night like this?
There was low voter turnout on both sides. Mm-hmm. So from a statewide level, we have to look at the statewide races with respect to the Democrats, and that's going to be sort of the bulk of all of the votes that are going to be cast around the state. But in these Republican districts that had runoffs, we also would have expected to have low voter turnout. So I think largely this is a function of this being an off cycle, so it's not a November race. Right. It's a runoff. Most activity was focused on the May election. It's hard to remind people to turn out to vote again 1 month later. It's hard to remind people to turn out to vote in the summer when they're hot and they're preoccupied with other things.
Some voter fatigue.
And perhaps on vacation, right? And so these are the types of races where you get this really concentrated electorate, and it really does come down to who's the best organized and can get their people to turn out to vote.
Is there anything left tonight that you want to see? Anything that you find curious? Anything that will help you understand as you drift toward November?
I am interested in what's going to happen in the 2nd district down in southwest Georgia. That race is interesting because you have Jeremy Hunt, who is an African-American Republican who's actually from outside of the district, but who is running in this district to run against another African-American Democrat, Sanford Bishop. There's actually a lawsuit that says that the person who came in 3rd place in that contest suing Fox News because they said they gave Hunt too much favorable television coverage. So that's an interesting and notable race there. The 6th district, I think, also has some really important lessons about what a candidate needs to be able to win. So we have Jake Evans, who is young, who's politically well connected through his father, right? But that's not enough to go against a candidate who has run for office before and come short, but now has his chance in terms of Rich McCormick, who's likely going to end up winning that race in November. So we haven't seen anything that's different, and I think probably if there's one more thing to talk about, it would be on the Democratic side, looking at the Stacey Abrams endorsements. And they seem to be paying off.
Text results, that's the number. We'll send you all the results. We'll take a break. We're back right after this.